You know, I was raised by strong ladies. You know, I'm like the last. Me and my brother, like the last men in my family. Like most of my uncles are either dead or doing life in prison. I'm responsible for all their kids. You know, the moment I was big enough, no ladies in my family ever got mistreated or abused. You know, I feel like that's what really set me on this path. Like watching certain things take place, and you know, only thing men respect is danger. So if they know that a certain lady is accounted for, they may change their actions because things do go bump in the night. And I've been a person who people will call when the boogeyman has to get confronted.
Oh man, that's...
So we are joined by Lionel, who is a former prosecutor, and he's been covering the Diddy case on his channel. How's it going, Lionel?
Excellent, sir. How is it going with you?
It's going really good. We've got Jaguar and Big Homie on, who have a lot of first-hand experience and knowledge of the monsters lurking in certain scenes, and they are at the forefront of exposing these creeps and protecting the kids and protecting women. So we salute them for the bravery and for speaking out when so many people are remaining silent.
And also, so many people are just afraid. As you know, for the most part, a lot of people in this neck of the woods in entertainment say, I'm not going to ruin my career. This has been going on for a long time. Why should I make a big deal now? Don't make waves. That's just the way it is. And what this is, Shaun, I'm from Florida originally, or as I call it, Florida. And we used to have these things called fire ants. It would be this kind of a mound of dirt. Didn't look like much, but if you stepped on it and you waited, all of a sudden, out of nowhere came thousands and thousands of these ants. That's what this is. You have stepped on an anthill, and they're going crazy. These people, for the longest time, where does this end? And let me say something to you, my friend. Courage to you, courage to the voices, because let me ask you something. Where do you think this is going to be found out about? The police? Do you think that the government's going to come in? Do you think that maybe the entertainment industry is going to clean house? No, it's going to be from civilian activists and journalists like yourself with firsthand knowledge. And where do you go? You go to people who know the industry. Names, the people who come forward and say, this is what happened. Let me tell you something. Something has changed in this world, Shaun, and I would like to think part of it is with, I think, President Trump. You may disagree, but for the longest time, we just never talked about kids. Just never talked about them. Oh, we kind of pay lip service. But more and more, there's talks about predation, pedophiles, people who are, be careful, but people who are predators, people who practice child predation. And it's wonderful and it's refreshing. It's a new zeitgeist. And I say, keep it up, sir.
Lionel, we're almost at the end of our segment with Jaguar and Big Homie. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for them?
What are your friends telling you? What are people in the industry telling you?
I was recently offered some money today not to talk on this platform today.
Wow. Are you being told, if you know what's good for you, keep your mouth shut? Let it be. Let it be. There are bigger people involved in here than you can understand. You don't want to get involved in this. This has been going on a long time. You don't want to get involved in this. Be careful. Don't. There's a lot of folks out here stepping on toes, right? Or they're going to say, you're crazy. That's my favorite. You're crazy. Because remember, you only take flack when you're over the target. When you're onto something and you're 100% correct, that's when the fire ants come. That's when the wasps and the hornets and the vermin, that's when you're pointed out, when you're actually on the truth.
Well, for me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Big Homie. I was going to say for me, Lionel, recently, one of the associates that I'm working with that has connection to Robert Kelly, it's looking like I'm going to have to step in and try to find a way to create some support for him. We're both being threatened by a Carter associate, and emails went out. I received a text message letting me know that this was my final warning. I actually had someone come through my live yesterday evening to say it in my chat. I've got 30 years of friends lying. I've got friends that I've had for 30 years that are now lying about things that they've even corroborated before now. People are afraid.
Yeah, I wanted to tell Jaguar, you do not have to apologize. Ladies first, chivalry has not died.
Fucking love this guy.
Yeah, nobody's threatened me. Because it's only about 7 or 8 guys in the United States who are the ones who make those courtesy calls. I know a couple of them. One of those guys' last name is Skates. Yeah, no one is gonna threaten me. I really doubt anybody will ever try to challenge me or anything I'm saying. Because if you threaten me with any type of level of violence, it's gonna be immediate repercussions for you. Because I know the people and the teams of guys and what companies who intimidate people.
Can I ask you something? Are you, earlier on you left and you came back and you had something in your hand? We're not going to talk about it. And the reason that you never went to your client job tonight, does that have any connection with the people that asked you to not do the show tonight?
Yeah. Who just asked me that?
That was Braun.
As Ro. I call him Ro.
Yeah, I've got ADHD and nothing that visually anything in front of me, my brain is going to catalog, even if it's just for a second.
Be kinder to yourself.
Oh, I'm awesome. I love myself, Jaguar. I'm awesome.
There was some movement on my camera. Yeah, I got a pretty hot water situation going on right now. But that's every day. It's every day. That's why I don't date. I've never been in a relationship. I've only been in one relationship. I never had anyone pregnant. I never had kids. It's a lonely path. I used to wonder, was it worth it? But over the last 6 months, I've been on the internet 6 months, and I have all of this activity, the outpouring of love and support, getting my flowers. I feel like it paid off. It's a good feeling. So yeah, I'm armed at all times.
You are the real deal. You and Jaguar, I'm telling you, man, you guys are the real deal. I'm being serious with you when it comes to your credibility for stories around the Diddy stuff. When it comes to your credibility, when the child safety is the center of all this. Big homie, you'll have heard me make the joke about. I imagine there's been the kind of times where you kicked open a party door with 4 women on your shoulder like logs who've passed out to rescue them from what could happen. These are all things that I'm telling you. I see the reality of it all, and I'm really good at sussing out someone who's nonsensy, right? I'm telling you now, man, you are. I would put all my chips on you or Jaguar. I'm telling you now, if I had to put my chips on 2 people with this, if you're watching in the side chat, I'm telling you now, the way I ask questions to sort of push the 2 of them tonight, it's proven a lot to me with regards to, I don't go by what the internet says or what you guys put out there. I need to see it for myself. And tonight, man, it has just been mind blowing. I'm going to go back to being quiet now, side chat. But thank you for answering that.
Tommy, do you want to get in here, Tommy?
Yeah, I feel honored to have had an opportunity to come on and talk to both Jaguar and Big Homie, and my hat's off to the courage that this took. If you guys are just sort of joining this circus, right? It really is a fire ant hill. It's a great analogy, but there are people that have been kicking the crap out of that hill now for a really, really long time, and my hat's off to them. It's an honor, big time. But keep doing what you're doing, because all of those people that called you crazy are starting to look really stupid.
I want to say something to Lionel, by the way.
Yes.
I had no idea when I moved to Texas that there was a thing called firing. Turns out I was allergic. I'll never forget the first time. It was right before I had a show in Hong Kong. I woke up in my bed in DeSoto, Texas. They had crawled on my face. My face was sitting out. But here I went in an instant anaphylactic shock. So you're absolutely right. That is the perfect analogy.
They are horrible. But you know, it goes to show you something. I just want to say something. You know, one of the things which I think is so beautiful about this, I look at this as kind of like a people's grand jury. You know, for the longest time, I being a prosecutor, I want to go back to the notion of the militia. I want individual crowdsourced folks to get together and say, this is what we know, this is what we've seen, and not wait for law enforcement. I've given up on them. I've absolutely, I mean, it's a complete and total joke. You would think right now somebody would be sitting here saying, okay, just a second, we're going to blow the lid off this because this isn't just going on right now. This has been going on for years. This has been going on forever. Where's law enforcement? Where's the FBI, MI5, MI6, CIA? No place. You can hear the crickets. What do they want? I know, look at that. Money, but it's also the fact, you know, Shaun, people have, I've always been against the death penalty. And the reason why is not because of any kind of moral stance, but because law enforcement is so incompetent. I used to think like an idiot. I used to think that all you had to do was mention kids and people would come out like fire ants. I thought people would be coming out of the woodwork. Kids. But you know what? Nobody's saying anything. But if you mention dogs, listen, I love animals and pets, but if you talked about animal abuse, they would be banging down the door. But kids, oh, well, you know, that's a different story. Well, you know, these kids, well, they kind of knew what they were getting. Well, you know, where are the parents? And they go through all of these excuses. I'm thinking, wait a minute. We're not talking about adults here making decisions. We're talking about people who are subject to predation. What is it? And right now, this is the part that kills me. I don't want to make this political, but in my country, we have this stupid election going on run by a bunch of morons. And what they're doing is they keep talking about how, you know, women's rights and women's rights. Well, God damn it, there are kids' rights and nobody's saying a word. The only thing that we care about in my country is killing kids through abortion and not protecting them through law enforcement and through citizen inquiry. It blows my mind.
Lionel, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, Lionel. Legend.
Thank you for saying that. Because with all of the different things, no candidate has talked about this Diddy mess and the children. They've all stayed away from it. I don't know how we avoided it. I don't know how it wasn't a part of a debate. And more importantly, what you just said, Lionel, rings true to the one thing that happened at that DNC convention. That disturbed me when they brought that young woman out there talking about being assaulted by her father and being grateful that she was able to delete her child and how they took it away and everyone needs to have their choice back. And I said, when I first saw that, I said, this is disgusting. It's inflammatory. But more importantly, where's the part of the story where her father was charged and thrown in jail?
Yeah. See, this is the thing about it this is the thing. Human beings are expendable. Let me explain to you this weird and sick world that we're living. Listen, don't think I'm some holy roller. Believe me, I am completely a-religious. I'm irreligious. I don't speak God, and I don't speak French either. That doesn't mean that French doesn't exist or there aren't French people. I'm just saying I have this thing. I don't want to say natural law either, but I was a prosecutor. And there's two things which I found fascinating. There's two things the government wants. Number one is to destroy parental autonomy and primacy. They want to tell you as a parent that you have no say over your child. That child can make up his or her own mind, even when they don't even know what their favorite color is. One day they come home from school and they say, you know what? I think I feel like I feel like a girl today. Hell, I thought I was Batman until I was 38, but that's another story. So what happens is they come in and all of a sudden they say, oh, a child's wish. We must honor a child's wish. And they will take a child from a home put them into CPS, Child Protective Services, and next thing you know, they're often going to some puberty-blocking genital mutilation because we love and we care for the child. Okay, put that away. Then, if a woman says, you know, and I'm not here to argue against abortion, but to ablate, delete, expurgate, bowdlerize, amend, excise, surgically remove a living human being, no problem. Then, when that child that we love so much, only when we want to change its genitalia and play kind of Dr. Strangelove with their genitals, then when they're kidnapped, when they're hurt, harmed, drugged, sold, exploited, then we look the other way. So we're schizophrenic. We don't give a damn about kids. We care about money. We don't care about. There is an evil in this country. I don't know if it's satanic, Luciferian, I don't know what. But this all goes down to it wants to go in and it wants to destroy the very fabric of what humanity is. It wants to destroy family and religion and faith and gender and dating and love and sexuality and the beautiful innocence that we have as a kid, where we felt protected, where we could just be a kid and just, honest to God, think that maybe there was a monster under the bed or we're afraid of lightning, where we would hold our mom's hand. We were just innocent. They are destroying the innocence of children. Let me tell you something. This is bigger than Diddy, bigger than LA. This is about a force that is so evil. I don't even know where to begin. I'm sorry.
Lionel, I just want to say I love you even more now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love you too. I got to tell you something. I can tell you something. I got to tell you one story. I was a prosecutor. I've seen some pretty nasty stuff and stuff that I thought would be pretty, believe it or not, murder scenes aren't that big of a deal. Car accidents are bad. Motorcycle accidents, real bad. But the worst thing I ever saw, ever, I can't even tell you about it. It was a piece of paper. It was a medical examiner's report, typed out, very black and white, very sterile, regarding observations made of a trauma to an infant, sexual trauma to an infant. And I'm reading this in this cold, stark, sterile, very stylized phraseology. And it was, I couldn't sleep. And it was done by a father.
Yeah.
And this is just one. And I'm thinking to myself, what DNA, what phylogenetic tree are these people from? And I'm reading this. Like I said, I've seen stuff that is, but this was one case of many. Do you know what happens? And I think to myself, well, the only good thing is maybe this innocent child won't remember this. I might wonder what these sutures were from and why this doesn't work anymore, but thank God. Do you know what these people have to go through for the rest of their lives? Hurt people. And you've heard it sounds trite. And you know what? It's like if there's a tree that's growing and you take your eye off it, it'll veer off and you can straighten it up eventually, but there will always be that one part that never ever connects. It never straightens out. And if I could walk to you, if I could go to you at Times Square here in New York City, which is right near me, and I could put on special glasses with you, and everybody who has ever been the subject of some kind of sexual predation as a child, if they had a halo or some type of a color pattern that you could only see through these glasses, and you looked, you would see thousands of them, because there are people. Ask any woman, how many times in your life, not as a child, but maybe on a date, maybe on a regular situation, did you ever have something happen to you that wasn't right, that you're not sure about? Oh my God, we are vermin. What we do to each other and to children, it's beyond unconscionable. So hats off ladies and gentlemen. I hope this spreads. I hope there's a new wave,
Yeah.
a new phrase, just like tattoos are a trend. All of a sudden, overnight, people have tattoos in their face and all this. Great. I want this to be this new.
I'm with you right now.
Let me interrupt real quick because
big homie.
big homies, I think about to go. He's got stuff to do. He's done. He's said what he needed to say. And big homie, huge thank you for coming on. Tell the viewers where they can find you and your YouTube channel, where they can watch your stuff.
Thank everybody who came on today. Thank all of the hosts for the live. If you want to find me, you can find me on YouTube at Big Homie Vlogs, on Instagram at bighomie.cc. I answer all DMs and messages.
IG.
And we've got all the Big Homies links in the description box below this video. We salute your bravery. Take care. And if you come out to England, come and stay with us. We'd love to show you around. Cheers, my friend.
Will do. I'll be in contact. Everyone be safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, can I just say, right, Lionel did a great job of completely demonetizing the stream in about 30 seconds. I just wanted to hats off to you, Lionel. You smashed it out the park, right? Second of all, can we all like and share? And Lionel, I just want to say, your points that you made about when people care more about animals, right? Here's my evaluation as an investigator over the years, what I summarize this as. When people talk about PDF files, it's like your brain is reacting the same way as if you put your hand over a candle flame. It's like it's saving you from the knowledge. And it's almost like I think a lot of people go the animal route because it's more psychologically palatable, if you see what I mean. And I completely agree. I often believe that it's so offset why people don't talk about saving the children and the realities of this. Because I think for a lot of people, they see one subcategory of PDF file. Sadly, through my research, I've learned about many, and the buck doesn't stop with one. I've spoken to women who are excited about finding PDF husbands to make PDF babies to share them around with other PDFs, and this is on encrypted networks. And as a prosecutor, I hope you can understand this, Lionel. I don't think you learn anything from a caged animal. If you watch a lion in the zoo, you learn nothing. You have to ask the tough questions when they're out there.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to ask the tough questions when they're out there.
And by the way, you mentioned the PDF files, and thank you very much. I'm more of a floppy disk. I love these codes. It's like PDF files.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
For a millisecond, I'm thinking, this guy's talking about anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. We've got to speak algorithm.
I think it's ridiculous, by the way. I think it's ridiculous that I can talk about ablating. I could talk about changing the gender of children. No problem with monetization there. But here I want to protect people. And no. Don't get carried. Who do you think you are trying to make the world better? Wow, how dare you? A couple of things here. First of all, I hate that word. The word philia, an enophile is somebody who likes wine. An ailurophile is somebody who likes cats. You like it. It's I don't care what you like in your head. I don't care if you've got a thing for cannibalism in your. I don't care. A thought means nothing to me. Do you think that slave masters were racist? Do you what? Do you think that half of the people who were involved in trafficking endeavors are that? No, they're wherever the money goes. If it's rhino horns or shark fins or kids or dogs, they don't care. It's not about that. And I don't care what you like in your head. You may have the kinkiest, weirdest thing you might enjoy, like Shaun's told me sometimes squatting over a cactus and picking up small change without using his hands. Remember the time Shaun was telling me how you used to love to use a push stone phone and call long distance numbers the hard way.
Listen, I'm his editor. How do you think I'm his editor? How do you think I feel, Lionel?
Remember that when you would come out with a shadow, go, look at me, I'm a charging rhino. Look, I can carry a dozen donuts the hard way. But that's your life. You didn't hurt anybody. That's okay. I mean, this is the guy who basically used to, anyway, just make it. But the point is, I don't care about that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something else. We're talking about something else. We're talking about somebody who, and I have studied this for a long time. Let me see if we can do a euphemism for this. Those people who are of a serial terms of nature, homicidal serial folks. And you ask, what is it that makes somebody do this? What is it that makes somebody do that? I'm fascinated by it. Listen, you can think whatever you want. You can think, let's face it, as long as you don't hurt anybody. As long as you don't hurt anybody, I don't care what you think. This is thought crimes. Let me tell you why I hate crimes. If you don't, this is a problem. And Jaguar, you'll love this because you're an American. We have a thing called hate crimes in this country, and hate crimes are get this, the opposite of love crimes, which I don't even know what that means. Hate crimes are when I take somebody which is already which is cognizable at law. Basically, your ability to hate. You can hate anybody you want. You can hate the New York Yankees or Donald Trump. Or you can hate whatever. I don't care. Your thought means nothing to me. When you pair it with a crime, what they'll do is they used to aggravate it. So they would basically tell you that I'm going to elevate your crime up a notch and aggravate it because you dare to utter a thought. That's a thought crime. So we had this guy one time, this was the funniest thing, who would always attack and rob gay people. Every week, it was homosexual cadres would meet and he would rob them. So they charged him with a sex crime, with a hate crime. So they said, did you target these people because they were gay? He says, yes, I did. Did you hate them? He says, oh, no. I thought they were weak. I was wrong. Wait a minute. It wasn't because you hated them? He says, no, of course not. Oh, so what's his hate crime business? It's like me targeting old people because I don't think they're able to put up a fight. Do I hate old people? Is it a hate crime? No. What we're doing is we're going after thought. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't care about that. What I care about is what you do to people.
Yeah.
And there's also something, and this is very interesting too. Whenever you take somebody and you take a particular event of a child and you take a picture of it and you memorialize it, it's a crime scene.
Correct.
It's a crime scene. It's not art. We have a First Amendment in this country, which supposedly protects you from uttering and expressing thought. This falls out of that. This is the memorialization of a crime scene, the victimization. It's a different story. And where this happens, do you know the numbers of, now you got me freaked out over it. I don't want to demonetize you, but there's this thing called...
You are too far gone now, mate. Do you know how much off-screen typing Shaun was? Also, can I just interject here and say, if I am
Conley,
he's joking, Lionel. He's winding you up. It's English humor.
Honestly, if my ADHD manifested as a person, guaranteed 9 times out of 10 is Lionel. I just want to point that out right now.
How do you spell ADHD?
Jaguar has been on quite a while. Did you want to stay on for a bit, Jaguar?
Sorry,
did you have to go as
well, actually, I have a meeting that I have to get to.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Listen, what would you like to say to the viewers in conclusion, Jaguar?
Well, first things first, I want to say shout out to my guys here at Attwood Unleashed. And I want to thank you for all that you do. You have a really great staff, Shaun. And not only that, there's a thing that you got to me, and we'll be getting to it soon. And as soon as I get to it, you're going to see it right here.
And long may it protect you.
Thank you, Lionel.
Thank you, my dear. It's a pleasure.
Listen to me. I'm becoming a fan. So if you ever see me pop up in your chat, don't get weirded out. I really enjoy it.
Much love and respect.
Never.
Thanks, Jag.
And to all of you, thank you so much. Just if you haven't prayed for a victim or a survivor, and even if you don't believe in prayer, all you do is hear the truth. Take one of them into your kind thoughts. Trust me, they feel them.
Thank you. Much love and respect. Have a great day.
Yeah, and love to the chat. I'll see you guys soon.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Wow. What a fantastic evening so far. And Tommy, have you got any questions for Lionel?
No, I think I would add one. I think he pretty much covered it, but I would add one thing. Often you'll hear people say, it's funny how a guy gets busted for something, and when he gets to prison, all of a sudden he's got morals and he's got all of these things, and this crime is no good and that crime is no good. What people don't realize is the number of people inside that institution who are there because something happened to them as a child. Right? This realistically is what puts a hell of a lot of people behind bars. So when a guy comes in with a crime, there's a bunch of people going, that happened to me as a kid. I'm killing this dude. And that's the mindset. I promise you. It's not that all of a sudden, we become something else. It's just that a lot of individuals end up in that lifestyle because they're running from some tough stuff that they endured as a kid. It's just a reality of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things which is so interesting is that this is when kids in particular, and by the way, just so that we understand something, because the subject theoretically is Diddy, and I just want to tell you this much. There's something that you got to be very, very careful about. I wish there was a public service. Maybe Shaun, you could do this. Hello, I'm Shaun Attwood. Ladies, if you're invited to a party by someone on a plane or a yacht or whatever, and you're promised a career, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. These are the victims of freak offs. This is what they've been through.
Great idea.
Women have been targeted from the beginning of time. And also, Shaun, I'm sure you've heard of this thing called yachting. And yachting is this wonderful, I'm sure you know all about it, where all of a sudden you saw these pictures of Leonardo DiCaprio on a yacht, and Tom Hanks on a yacht, and Barack Obama on a yacht. Now, I'm not saying they did anything, but on these big monster yachts, you go right out there in international waters. And let's say, Shawnee, I'm a sheikh, or I'm some big oil, whatever it is. And I go to some B-lister or C, who knows? I may get somebody and I say, hey, how'd you like to come on a ship with a bunch of billionaires, honey? I'm like a Paris Hilton, not her, but somebody of that name, or Kim Kardashian, names, people who think it's like, okay. Again, I'm not accusing anybody, but I pay them $1 million. Listen, some of these people would go to a nightclub, open it up, be there, and make $100,000-$200,000. It's par for the course. And then all of a sudden, you're some billionaire, and you're on this yacht, and one thing leads to another, and then you're in a cabin or some room that's wired for sound, a recording studio, just like that other dude. Because don't forget, the two biggest industries in the world right now, of course, as you know, are human trafficking and extortion. And this goes on all the time. What's funny, gentlemen, is we had, and I don't want to make this political unless I have to, but the other day when the Democrats had all of these people come up and say, we're here for the Democratic candidate. It was a veritable who's who of every skeeve and skank and dirtbag, douchebag you can imagine. Now, I don't know anything firsthand. But if you have a dog or a pet and this thing drops a deuce behind the couch, you may not be able to see it, but something's not right here. And it just so happens that all of the people who happen to be at these events are notoriously suspected of having been parts of these parties, and it goes so deep.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Lo and behold, all of a sudden, look who it is. Here are these people. When Leonardo DiCaprio actually comes out, he looks like a hostage video. I don't know if you saw him recently. It looks like they got a gun to his head. And he's talking about climate change when he's on this goddamn jet, whatever it is, he's flying around. I mean, as we say in Spanish, que cojones, the balls this guy has to actually say this. And then there's this one. And then there's George Clooney. Okay. And then there's Tom Hanks. And then there's this. It's like every single person you can imagine, lo and behold, and they're there almost to convince me that they actually are in favor of this. If this isn't calling in some kind of marker, I don't know what is.
I honestly, you blow my mind, Lionel, when you go off on these like informative, like it's not a skit because you're spitting facts, but it's the way you deliver it. It's just fantastic. Put a one in the side chat for love for Lionel, and also please like and share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, honestly, Lionel,
Diddy news. There's some Diddy news just come out. I'm going to read it to Lionel. Let's get his opinion.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, let me just read it for the viewers. Prosecutors have rejected Diddy's accusation that government agents leaked evidence to undermine his defense against criminal sex transportation charges. Said the music mogul doesn't deserve a list of names of his accusers. In the filing, prosecutors said Diddy is grasping at straws in alleging that he is being victimized by the leaks, including the 2016 Cassie video. They said that he should not show that any information was leaked from the grand jury investigating him, adding that Diddy knows the highly probative video came from elsewhere. They also called his demand for accusers' names a thinly veiled effort to hijack the government's case and help him defend publicly against the more than 24 men and women pursuing civil lawsuits over his alleged misconduct. This improper request should be denied in its entirety, particularly here where there are serious and ongoing concerns of victim and witness safety, tampering, and intimidation, prosecutors said. Thoughts, Lionel?
Well, first of all, we have this thing in this country called the Sixth Amendment. It's the confrontation clause. You have the right to confront your accusers. So you're telling me that listen, and I'm no Diddy fan, but I'm not going to throw away our laws just to accommodate him. They're suggesting that giving the names of people accusing him are somehow going to compromise the investigation. Well, how do I know who these people are? What if I told you, what if I said, well, you've been accused by some guy named Tommy? I said, Tommy? Who's Tommy? I've never met him. Wait a minute, they've got the wrong person. I wouldn't know that unless they gave me the name Tommy. So that's one thing. And as far as, what do you think the prosecutors are going to say? Oh, damn it, you caught us. Okay, we leaked it. Look, you know and I know, prosecutors don't leak stuff. They have people do it for you. And do you think with all that's going on, that Cassie video that doesn't mean anything compared to this? That's nothing. We'll talk about, listen, you got to be very careful. They're piling this on. And if you want to get Diddy, you better back off, because eventually, if you get somebody like me who stands before a jury and says, oh, come on, who else? Witness number one, state your name for the record. Shaun Attwood. How much are you going to get paid? Objection. Objection, my ass. How much are you in for? Where do you think this money's coming? And by the way, Shaun, how much money does this guy have? It's mortgaged, it's leveraged, the liens and the attorney's fees. They're going to end up getting $2,500 if they're lucky. They've got, what, 125? And then we got this new case involving a 10-year-old boy, allegedly, who was a 10-year-old boy then. And let me ask you this. I know we're not supposed to ask you. Where the hell were these parents? Where were these parents? Were they, do we have any corroborating evidence before? Were they ever taken to an emergency room? And if not, why not? And if so, why weren't the cops doing something then? So in addition to all of this Diddy investigation, I want to know, first of all, who in the hell are these parents? Remember when people would talk about Michael Jackson? And people would say, well, you know, my son went and spent time, a weekend with Michael Jackson. Excuse me, what? You let your kids spend time with Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson? Come on. You've got to be kidding me. So anyway, so that's one thing. There's another issue that came up about whether they're going to allow victims to be known as Jane or John Doe. And one federal judge says, no, you're going to have to come forward and let people know who you are. Because a lot of these people were 10 years old or alleged to be 10 years old, but this was 20 years ago. We also have the question of statutes of limitations. Now, I know nobody cares about this, but let me ask you something, Shaun or Tommy. What were you doing 20 years ago? On Tuesday, November the 3rd. Now, most of us remember which party we were at. But we have to not throw away due process just to get this guy. And if Diddy were smart, he would say, look, I'm never getting out of prison. So you know what? Let's take every case to trial. Tee it up. 120 suits. I'm going to use all my money on attorney's fees. Go ahead. I'm not settling. I'm not pleading. I want everybody to come before it and tell me what I did and prove it. Because a lot of people are going to be, let's face it, as is the case, they're going to say, well, I'm hoping for some kind of a settlement later on. Because believe me, if there was no money, nobody'd be suing him. You never hear anybody, Shaun, ever say, I'm suing for nominal damages. In the United States, you can sue for compensatory damages and punitive damages or nominal damages. $1 just to make the point. There have been people, not many, but you sue for $1. So you want to go on the record, I was right. That ain't going to happen. So be very careful. And this lawyer who says 1-800, call me, after all, it's looking like a circus. And pretty soon, and I'm afraid of this, people are going to say, I don't want to talk about the Overton window or the sympathy meter, but somebody may look at this and say, oh, come on, give the guy, okay, I know the guy's a dirtbag, Diddy, but come on, 150 now? Where were you before? Why now?
Lionel, do you not feel though? Lionel, do you not feel that the people that own the industry that Diddy's in also own the control of the narrative through the media? And do you not think that this is quite an unheard of case because of how publicized it is in your actual professional opinion? Because I'd like to hear it.
This is the thing that gets me, gentlemen. Do you remember the case of a fellow named Bill Cosby? Yes.
Yes.
You know how Bill Cosby was finally got? You know how they got him? How? There was a comedian in 2014 named Hannibal Buress, a comedian who's at this club in Philly. And somebody had a cell phone, and Hannibal Buress says, who in the hell does this Bill Cosby think you're telling black kids, pull your pants up and do this or do this? When he's roped, trying to help you out, women. And all of a sudden they said, what? Yeah, Bill Cosby, look it up. And then all of a sudden, floodgates said, he did it to me, and did it to me, and did it to me, and did it to me. And we heard about this years ago. It took a comedian in 20. Why? This was 10 years ago. I don't get this.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and all of a sudden, that thing ended in a disaster. So you can ask why? Why now?
Ruth is saying, Lionel, we've got a view. Ruth
Yes,
is saying, because it takes a few brave people to get the ball rolling.
But the ball was attempted to be rolling before and nobody cared. Then all of a sudden, something happens. The weather, the zodiac, something aligns, and they say, okay, now we'll talk about it. I don't understand why.
It is.
I think it was that really quick settlement on the Cassie lawsuit. That, you know what I mean? You allegedly, it's like $33 million, right? And if you file that on a Monday and Tuesday morning at 7, the attorneys call and go, yeah, let's clean that up. We can do that. I think a lot of people took that as hey, you know what? It's open business, because for the longest time, allegedly, this guy really has been like he has been to the music industry what John Gotti was, right? Like, people really were afraid that you're going to get whacked. And if you take a good look at Sean Combs from the time that he left Howard University, right, where 9 people got killed in a stampede at the show that he had, that was the first batch of people that got offed nearby him. Since then, there's been about 13 other people that just seem to have very odd endings. And I think a lot of people were terrified. I really believe that.
Well, listen, do we know? We still don't know about Tupac. We don't know any of this stuff. Any of this. I can't believe this. Where's Suge Knight?
Oh.
Where Suge was great before. Say, Suge, hello. Anybody see him? Welfare check. Get him out of there. Cat Williams, Monique, all the great. Where are you're gonna? It's very difficult to see all of a sudden who's not here anymore. I got to tell you this one story. Tommy, you'll love this because we look. I'm older than you, but we look roughly sort of contemporaries. When when people get older, believe it or not, something happened. Younger people are great at doing these things where they can do like whack-a-mole, but older people are better at looking at 2 different situations and saying which one's different. And we can tell this situation from this situation. That's called judgment. And I'm very good at seeing who's not here anymore. All of a sudden say, hey, anybody see? You don't need a buddy system with me. It's like, wait a minute. I'd be great on school trips. Where's little Michael? Yeah, he's not here. All of a sudden, keep track of all the people. Have in your office, Shaun, like a dry erase board with little sticky notes and put the names. Suge Knight, where's he? All of a sudden, where's he? I don't know.
He's in jail.
He ran out of minutes.
But you, but you'll just not hear about anybody, and then you'll start hearing these. And I love these stories that go nowhere. What did all these people have in common? They all knew Oprah. Wait a minute. I'm no Oprah fan, but they all had other people in common that they knew. What's with Oprah? And the best part is Oprah's loving it. She loves to be in the news, even though she's I had nothing to do with this. And by the way, Shaun, let me ask you something. One of the dumbest things Oprah ever did ever, because I don't know about you, but I love the royals. I love the monarchy. How a bunch of inbred homozygotic cousins can basically mutants and convince these people we're special. People walking around with, I mean, every kind of mutation you can imagine. These people who, I swear to God, half of these people look like they couldn't get lucky on a Greek galley ship. But anyway, they are the most. They love. Oh, let me tell you something. I think you guys are great. I think they're fantastic. Chuck is my guy. I don't know what he does, but what happened was they are the most important people, the biggest family on the planet. Forget the Saudis, those people. Don't ever forget that. And Oprah Winfrey has on Meghan Markle to say that the royal family is racist. Forget Diddy. It's like, oh man, don't buy the green bananas, honey. They can make this thing go away. You do not. I mean, this is, imagine you're in a family and you say, hello, William. Yes, I'm your tutor. Let me tell you about people in your family who's killed wives for no reason. You see, we do whatever we want. No. You want to go to the Tower of London? You see this one? Her name is Meghan Markle. And by the way, who was the other? So to make a long story short, and we'll talk about that because Harry, how's Major Hewitt doing? Oh, I love that. They look nothing alike. What? What? Anyway, I love when they say that. What are you talking about? They look nothing. It's like, are you kidding? Anyway, make a long. Prince Andrew and Porgy. Hello, come on. He's the only one who looks normal in that family. That notwithstanding, when Oprah decided to do this is when I said, this woman has a death wish. She has no earthly CBS. And that was something happened. I don't know what she does. I don't know how she got to be a billionaire. Shaun, she hasn't been on TV since the 90s. What are we talking about? She's making $1 billion in what? Residuals from a talk show in the 80s? They set these people up. They're the chosen people. They're here. You're in charge. We're going to make you. You're going to be our chosen person. You and George Clooney and Tyler Perry, and this and that, and you're it. George Clooney. We're going to drag you out. By the way, interesting side note. George Clooney, who hasn't had a hit since ever, is now going to be on Broadway. He was going to be on Broadway, but they're going to set him up for an Academy Award with his next one with Brad Pitt. This is what he wants more than anything. So they drag him out and they hand him this thing and they say, what is this? This is a letter you wrote to the New York Times or whoever telling Joe Biden to step down. I didn't write this. Let me try this again. This is a letter you wrote. Oh yeah, good. Thank you. Joe Biden's walking around yelling, who ordered the veal cutlet? He's sharting himself, and we need George Clooney, but he was the guy. And they live in this world where they think it matters. They think that we listen to George Clooney. They think that the news means something. Gentlemen, they still think that cable news and BBC and all this, this is it. They live in another world. They don't understand it. Do you fellows remember, Tommy? I don't know how old you are.
Can I just stop you there, Lionel, for a second?
You can't. You shut up.
Hey, Fangool. Hey, Fangool. Listen. So are you basically saying that the powers that be still believe in old media? Was that what you're getting at there?
You might be approximating the truth of that one. Yes. These people, do you know that there are some stars that could have burned out millions of years ago, and it won't be for millions of years until we see it. We see it, but it's not there. That's what we're talking about. These relics, these dinosaurs, these ossified fossils still think that, let's look at the newspaper, shall we?
Yeah, Lionel,
read a book.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to push back and say I think you're completely wrong. You're underestimating the level of these these individuals. I believe that these individuals have given up on new media, and we're seeing this transition now into almost a mass hypnosis of people through social media, through this mass worship of celebrity, and through this misconception of talent, and there is none, based on a number under a name. Do you think there's any relevance to that with what you're saying, Lionel?
Well, no, I'm saying social media is it, and with social media comes every iteration of it you can imagine.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
talking
Yeah.
about
So you're
cable,
including that too. Yeah. You're
cable
including that.
news. I'm talking about cable news. Oh, this is. Do you understand,
Oh, yeah.
gentlemen? Do you understand that you still have a set with a presenter? Hello, good evening. Tonight, the news. What is it? Ding, 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 ding. Yes, I am Charles Collingwood, and here's the news. What planet are you from? The other day, J.D. Vance, who is running for, and I hope will be the vice president, sat with Joe Rogan for 4 hours in a bombed out shelter with bad drapes and stuff. There are people who are doing some of the best broadcasting and streaming out of a bedroom.
Yeah.
They don't care. They told young people they don't have the mental wherewithal to keep up with this. Hell, they're watching streaming. They'll binge watch, The Sopranos for 2 weeks when it came out. So they're doing this thing. There are more younger people, this Generation Z, they catch more grief. They are sharper and smarter because they've turned this off and they're watching this and they understand this. This is power. Shaun, do you have any earthly idea of how powerful this is? Do you know that when I started in talk radio, I used to work with Rush Limbaugh. I did a show in 1988 when we had an AM, FM. It was news, sports, and weather, and you had one. It was like, what is this? It was horrible. And then all of a sudden, it broke through. And there's nobody telling us what to do. There's nobody telling you. This is the most powerful medium. Joe Rogan, the other day, think about this, was on with Donald Trump in an hour. He had 30 million people. I've got news for you. The biggest con in the world is Fox News. You can take every show they've ever had. I'm telling you, there are reruns of the Westminster Kennel Club that get bigger ratings than this. It's a myth. It's the 75 plus crowd that's watching this.
So the only time I see the BBC, Lionel, is when I visit my parents, and I must admit, when I'm watching the BBC, they're like plastic faced puppets. When you've not watched it for years, you just see right through them. These reptilian, two-faced, lying, gibberish, reading from the teleprompters, just trying to hypnotize the masses. But it is getting phased out, but it still does have a lot of power, I believe.
Can I just ask Lionel something? Lionel,
yes, sir.
When we talk about this new wave of media, right? But we've talked earlier about having to use terms like PDF file and R word. With the new generation using these new media sources for their news, do you think that crimes like R words and PDF files are going to be dumbed down in a generation due to the sort of passive use of alternative words for the crimes?
They will, once they are in charge, they will get rid of this. Remember what they did? They figured out we have to do something to stop these people. The genie is out of the bottle. And you have now these streaming things. What do we do? How do we fix this? Wait a minute. I know what we'll do. We'll call it misinformation. What is that? I don't know. But we'll call it misinformation or disinformation or that information. And we will set up a company called PolitiFact or Snopes or Ron's Factorama and Media Matters. And we will say, excuse me, Mr. Attwood, yet you're incorrect. You said such and such. Our independent shows that this is wrong, and therefore you're spreading misinformation. We're going to deplatform you. Your question. You're questioning that we landed on the moon? I'm sorry. Wikipedia has, even though Wikipedia starts off with this big warning that says we are not a news. Do not listen to us. They actually tell you this. Which is fascinating. It's like having a pill or a prescription that says, don't take this. It will kill you. Okay. So they're doing everything in their power. And what they're doing is, and Shaun, your country, UK, what they're doing to people, putting people in jail because they posted something and you're taking it. There's not rioting in the streets for that, for opining about something. And you're taking the police. And do you think they want to do this? You're besmirching. You're teaching kids never to trust the police again. I am disgusted. The thing that you must be able to do is to start off your show every single day, Shaun, and say, remember, this is called the off button. If at any particular time you do not like what I'm saying, turn the goddamn thing off. Turn it off. Go
Lionel,
someplace else.
What happened was when they said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, over 100,000 people came out and demonstrated in London against the war, and the government ignored them. And I think a lot of people just gave up after that.
I know, but no smoke without fire in Saddam's case. I'm just throwing that in there. I'm just saying he was a wee scamp. All right, he was a wee little rascal.
I was here. Well, see, listen, you have not lived. You have not lived until I was here on September the 11th, on 9/11, on the Tuesday. I was here in New York. My wife and I were here. And that was, I mean, it was wild. And it's still wild. And I saw stuff then that never changed. Anyway, I don't want to go into that particular thing. But going back to this, I want everybody to listen to me right now. And I want you to bring your little kids and boys and girls into mommy and daddy and sit down and say, come here, little Shawnee. Now, let me ask you something. Now, you listen to me. I don't want to freak you out, but listen to your dad. If anybody ever touches you, listen to me. You're going to tell me. You understand what I'm saying? The doctor notwithstanding, but I'm going to be there for that. Now, this person who might do it, and people will say, I don't want to in any way traumatize my kid. Shut up. This trauma is nothing compared to that other trauma. Now, somebody's going to tell you something, and they're going to tell you they want to keep a little secret, or they're going to tell you that they're going to hurt mom and dad, or they're going to kill the dog. Trust me. Don't listen to them. You understand what I'm saying? And what are you going to do? You're going to tell me. You promise me? Good. And I want to immunize and inoculate kids. And I want them to say, oh, I know what this is. This is what mom and dad told me. You're the creep I was told about. You really do exist. Sorry, pal. Not this time. I know what you're doing. And there's one thing about these predators know. They hate strength. When there's a kid who looks at them and says, don't even think about it. They're cowards. They run. They've got plenty of other people to do. I got to tell you this one story. Years ago, there was a fellow named John Douglas. John Douglas was the inspiration for Scott Glenn's character in Silence of the Lambs. And I interviewed him one time. And I said, tell me, if you were a predator and you wanted to find a kid, what would you do? And he said, oh, that's easy. And this was so old. This was the days of game rooms. I don't know if you remember that. You go to a game room and you play Missile Command and you put coins in. And he'd say, I walked in and I want to look for the kid who's by himself, maybe fat, maybe just unattractive, maybe lonely. I'm going to go over. And they have this sense of, it's like the lion looking for the weak animal. That one. That's the one. And they practice the art of seduction. They want to fall in love. They're patient. They know behavior better than you can imagine. These are the sickest people. They know every trick in the book. And what you, Ron, have probably found out, if you knew how many people are not only willing to think this, but would go cross the Rubicon into the world of actually actively seeking this out. Look, we've all needed a few bucks, but I'll be damned if I'm going to rob a bank. You know, I could have used it, but they have no problem with robbing the bank. And they're all over. And what happens is they live in worlds where it becomes okay. They live in worlds. Remember the movie, a great show on Aussie TV, Mr. In Between? I love that.
Oh my God. Lionel, you and me, we can email about that show. You're the only other person that I know. I mean, wow.
It is the greatest show when he says, Maybe talks like that. Ray Weststone talks like that. He goes, you know what? I can't do an Aussie accent, but he said, but there's one fellow. He says he wanted toys. He goes, oh really? So he shows up there with a machete and whatever. Anyway, there is a theme. There is a theme that's picked up more and more and more that the media may not be talking about it, but people like you and me and all of us have. And it's the idea of kids. Everything, you know what? I'll argue if you want to be a freak. Sometimes some of these women, you heard about Diddy and the contracts. You got to be this tall. You can't have tattoos. You got to be 125. Okay, fine. So what? There were modeling contracts in the old days in the 80s where women had to, they couldn't weigh over. They were smoking cigarettes and doing cocaine and coffee. Okay, that's fine. If you're an adult, knock yourself out. I don't think people should give you some kind of a drug or a sedative and take it. But other than that, you should know better. Kids, another story, different story. And there are more of us. And when we start saying to people, because I haven't heard, well, take that back, excuse me, hate to bring it, in our election on November the 5th, one of these things that they're saying, I'm hearing more and more here about people, illegal aliens, I think you can relate, and what they're doing to children. That got everybody's attention. So it's happening. It is happening more than anything you can imagine. And how governments, if you don't recognize the degree of depravity of them, opening up the borders to flood your cities with these people. One of the things, I've never been to the UK, but Shaun, one thing I would love to do is I love to say, what does it mean to be a Londoner or to be a Briton? Or what does it mean? Tell me about your culture. Tell me about the spirit. I want to know what your culture is like. Expressions, food. I want to know what generations of people from the UK and the British Isles, what have you done? If somebody comes and dilutes that, if we destroy it by what we call DEI and permutation of this, listen, I don't mind heterogeneity, but I don't want you to lose the foundations of your culture. That's all I'm saying.
Lionel, I swear to God, it's like you're punching me in the head with facts. It's like I feel like I've been in a ring with Tyson, except instead of punches, it's just information. It's a lot to take in, and everything you're saying is spot on. And again, I'm just
Tommy keep his mouth shut. Tommy, pipe
Tommy
down.
You can't stop Tommy.
Tommy, would you like to interject?
No, have a great day, gentlemen. I have another show that I got to catch, but Lionel, you're a beast. There's something very Carlin about you. And that's
Tommy, where are you from? I'm trying to pick your accent. East
Northeast.
Coast.
Yeah.
Northeast. Yeah. East Coast.
Yeah, I'm a New Englander, Vermont.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pack the
All right,
cab.
gentlemen. Thank
All
you.
right.
It's been an honor.
Good to see you,
Tommy.
Thank
And
you, sir.
Tommy's links are in the description box. The Lifeboat channel on YouTube. Support his work. And we hope to see you soon, brother.
Well, you will. Have a great night, everybody.
All right, Lionel, you ready to battle for some airtime, my guy? You ready for this, my G? Are you ready to go head to head? We're going rogue now. Okay, we're going rogue. Okay, I've been sat here for 40. I've got ADHD and I'm on the spectrum. Being this quiet for this long is torturous. So, Lionel, I want to jump down. I want to hit you with some. Let's go a couple of tinfoil hat questions, right? Let's take off your professional prosecutor hat.
By the way, it's aluminum foil. We haven't used tin in years, but go ahead.
I beg to differ.
Aluminium.
If you look at the spelling of it, it's actually aluminium. No, it's aluminium.
Well, for you.
Okay, no. I know a lot of the people in the side chat will believe you because the glasses give you like +10 intellect in a D&D environment.
I've been through this, like you and your schedules and your lieutenants. I dig, but go ahead.
Listen,
I'll give you a pass on this one. Go ahead.
So
You
listen, tomatoes. Let's jump into some tinfoil hat stuff, right? Because you're a really smart guy and you're a great speaker. So when people start talking about the bloodlines, right? These larger families, all this stuff. Do you believe as a prosecutor that you can get behind a larger story behind a case like Diddy's? Or do you think the buck stops with him?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Buck Star, he's a nothing. He's an insignificant little. He's not a. He's a cog. He's a peg. He's a tile in the mosaic. Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He is a part of a. Put it this way: there's a human predation factor in this, and there are different cabals and different groups of it, but also there's something. Let me explain this to you, and you know this. I think I don't know, Ron, if you were around here, but I had a friend of mine who was in the catering restaurant business. He says, he's learned a lot of things. And he said, first of all, you'd be surprised all the stuff that he finds in restaurants in the back. People think that for some reason, when you go in the kitchen, they do all kinds of dope deals and they think that nobody can see you. He says, I don't know why, but they did.
Yeah.
And
We used to own a restaurant. My family had a restaurant. We had an open plan. So we lost out hundreds of thousands every year on dope deals going down in the kitchen because the customers could see everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying, Landon? You know what I'm saying?
But there's also something about it which is interesting too, because when you're in a restaurant, the poorest of the poor, when people come to your country, they don't know anything, but they can wash dishes. And they always go to restaurants. So he met the poorest of the poor, and he could buy anything up to and including family members if you wanted. There were people, they meant no harm, but imagine being born in a culture so poor, there are no birth records. There's barely a name. And you have undocumented children coming over the border here in this country, and nobody stops them. And you're a man with a little girl, and this is my daughter. Okay, come on in. I mean, this goes on. Anyway, but within these activities, children have always been barter, trade. They don't mean anything. And also, let me tell you, gentlemen, what's really the most important part. Two things you're going to find. The number of boys, little boys, not which, believe it or not, in the hierarchy of despicable, in that community, the number of closeted, and by the way, whenever you exact predation on a child, gender means nothing. It's like, for example, if you molested a goat, doesn't matter if it's a billy goat or it's a goat. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or boy. Anytime you hurt a child. But two things, the number of boys that are involved. And second, what you're really going to find is eventually homicide. Not in Diddy per se, but homicide. Remember one thing. The worse the crime, the easier it is to hide. Marshall McLuhan said that little lies are very hard to keep secret, but big lies are easy because of your incredulity, because you sound like a lunatic. If somebody's found dead, you go, oh, well, I know who offed them. Oh, there you go again. There you go again, Mr. Tinfoil, Mr. But why is it that after all of these years, going back to this, you mean to tell me Suge Knight is really a mystery? Are you honestly telling me how many people are there? 4 people? All right, I mean, come on. What is the story behind that? Why is it being? And I'm not an expert in it.
Yeah.
But do you think this is some rant? No, of course not. Let me explain to you. When I was 5 years old, I saw Kennedy's assassination. My mother was crying. That's my introduction. That's when I was red pilled. And then the second time was after 9/11. We saw something that was the most important thing. In 1967, we have a thing called FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. There's one particular document, you might have heard of it. It was kind of like a CIA, kind of like an interagency memo. That said, we're going to weaponize the word conspiracy theory. And we're going to do this because nobody bought the whole Warren Commission. And it wasn't until 1975 with Geraldo Rivera that we saw the Zapruder film. Never saw it.
Yep, I'm with you.
So what they did was they said, when you tell somebody something, you tell them, first of all, do you know how many people it would take to hide something like this? Which is ridiculous because no, it doesn't take many people at all. But the same argument they were doing then is what we're doing now. At the time, the Kennedy assassination was something that was done in broad daylight.
Yep.
in the most preposterous of situations.
Correct.
And they thought to themselves, you know, these people are kind of catching on. This is when the mob and the CIA and the OSS and everybody was kind of congealed into this. And they thought to themselves, now we got to get out of this. And then all of a sudden rose the citizen investigator, much like what we're doing now.
Yeah, I agree. I will PayPal someone $10 right now if you can tell me the question that I asked Lionel that got that answer. Because I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure he smashed it out the park.
No, you said the bloodlines. You were talking about bloodlines. You were talking about is there something else about this? And there, and the answer is, if you think there is something cogent, if you think there is something to this, then pursue it. Nobody ever had a good theory that was basis. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you about JFK a minute, right? And then this has got nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're just going to nerd out here for a minute. We'll put Shaun down here. We'll put Shaun down here for a second, right? Okay. So, do you remember when all the color photos came out of JFK? It was black and white. It was black and white. It was black and white. I'm telling you now, it was nothing but JFK, cavemen, and Nazis for 4 years in history at high school for me. There was nothing else apart from me. There was no other history. I don't remember that car having that extra row of seats, bro. And I don't remember it ever being a thing until the color stuff come out, and it all comes around the whole CERN, madness, right? Do you have any inconsistencies with your memories being you watched it live?
Number one, I found this out later. Okay. Number one, remember, he's driving this way. Lee Harvey Oswald is behind him. Okay. There is a bullet hole in the windshield, or the windscreen, whatever you call it. There's a bullet hole from the front. And guess what they did? They picked the car up and sent it to it was a Lincoln. It was a Lincoln Continental. They took it to some Ford plant to have the window replaced. They immediately started washing it. but that's the one that gets me. There is a bullet coming from the front. That's number one.
Okay.
There was this fellow I'd like somebody to look into. Look up his name. Look at his picture. His name is Lucien Sartine.
You think I can spell Lucien Sartine? I can barely spell my name, Lionel. Shaun can. Yeah, Shaun can, 100%.
1972, he was killed in Mexico. This was a guy who was a classic. He was part of these Marseille, these Corsican hitmen, and he loved frangible bullets, and he loved dressing up because they talked about this guy named Badge Man. And there were so many inconsistencies. But here's what JFK taught us. The next time something ever happens, sit back, let people talk. Let people talk. Hundreds of them will come forward. One's going to be telling the truth, maybe 5. You're going to get about 30 lunatics, 10 so-sos, but just let people talk, and then pretty soon people will become so...
That whole statement was so ironic coming from you there, Lionel, about letting people talk. And I just want to say, right, the way that, I need to hear it from your mouth, okay? I need to hear it from your mouth here with regards to JFK, okay? Watching it as a child, do you have any inconsistencies with the memories of that car? And I'm asking you because you're a very intelligent man. You said that you've watched it. I have got problems, bro. Like, I do not remember that middle row of seats. I remember it being a driver and a passenger and the back seats. There's no crazy middle section for me. Do you have any, what do you remember?
I thought there was. I thought the middle section was where John Connally, the governor of Texas, was. And then the back row was JFK and Jackie. Here's one for you. Why do you put his car... I'm sorry, Shaun, we've completely hijacked the show.
Yes, we've gone rogue. We've gone rogue, Lionel. It's fine.
Why do you put his car in the front? You put it in the middle. Why would you take his car and move it in the front?
No, Lionel. Why is the Pope the only guy with a bulletproof bubble? Why? I mean, surely you look at that as a president and you go, "That can we get that one, please?"
By the way, this one wasn't bulletproof. It was for the wind. But aside from that, aside from all of that stuff, there is this story. Let me tell you, put JFK here for a moment.
Okay, we'll pin it. Okay, that's fine.
The story of stories. There are two things that is the best of the best of the best. And that is the idea of what people call UFOs. This is where people will just tune you out and they'll say, okay, thank you and good night. Do you have any idea of what would happen? And let me give you a couple of things. I was raised Catholic. I'm a retired Catholic now, but I was raised Catholic.
Condolences.
And the Vatican said something which really is very interesting. And think about this. If you know, the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. So that's 4,500 million years. So if there was another planet that was 4,501 million years, they have a million years on us. And theoretically, we're told to believe that from 1905 to 1969 was the Wright brothers to landing on the moon. If you believe that, okay, fine. So in 64 years, a lot can happen. Imagine a planet or a system having a million years on you. Okay, let's assume there is another group of people out there. And they were born in another place, another system. Do they necessarily have original sin? Do they have anything to do with our Christianity? And the Vatican said, no, they are born without original sin. So that means that Jesus came here for us only. If you're in Zeta Reticuli, some binary star system, that's, I don't know, 30 light years away, which you can get quicker. There are other people who say, we don't know anything about Jesus. So think about this. You are not the chosen people. They don't have to be born again. They don't need redemption. They're not original sinners. They don't harm children and kill each other. Think about what an inferiority complex that would do to us if we're supposed to be the only planet. And you mean to tell me that Jesus was the only one out of the universe to come here? Imagine God selling them on that story. I'm going where? To Earth. Why? Because they're sinners. That's it. That's it. I mean, this all of a sudden things start to break apart. You go, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
I love it.
Do you know what this will do to people?
Yeah, I get it. It's amazing how you sound like you're totally insane, and then you say one thing, and it all just clicks into place, Lionel. Because honestly, there's been a few times where I've just been like, I have to say something, and then you say two more words, and I'm like, he's a genius. Okay, yeah. No, listen. I'll be honest with you. In fact, no, I'm not going to say anything. Carry on, because
Shaun, the number. Oh, look at this. Do you think he will get off on a technicality? No. Diddy will never get out of prison. Never, ever.
How did you manage to segue it back to Diddy? You're a genius.
I'm reading Bad Monkey Business here, and he wrote a question. And the question is, do you think to get off a technicality? He's like, no, you will never see Diddy again. He will never see the light of day. That's why Diddy got nothing to lose. Take it to trial.
Lionel, as a lawyer, see if all the witnesses disappeared. Just let's just say there's nothing suspicious, like God's just having an off day and he's like shouting you, right? And they all disappeared. There's no case, right? Or is there still the federal not racketeering, the RICO style organized stuff?
If there's no witnesses, somebody's gonna have to come up and say, "Do you see the man in the courtroom? That's the man. What did he do? He did this." If there's nobody there, for example. Here's an interesting case. We have the Menendez brothers, which is a great case. One of the cases, this is a great evidence question. The Menendez brother wrote a letter to a cousin or somebody and said, I think when he was 8 years old, that he was abused. Well, that cousin is dead. So how do they introduce the document into evidence? How do you authenticate it? And that sort of thing. But theoretically, if all the witnesses are dead, or they just disappear, I could just vaporize it, there's no case. Sometimes you need the evidence, sometimes you don't. Like you don't need a body to prove a murder, though it helps. So sometimes you can get around that. But what's happening here is just wait till the first witness takes a stand and talks about something that happened 30 years ago. That's different than a little child sitting there and said, that's the man. It's a different story. And just the cross-examination. Who are you? Have you filed a lawsuit? Yes. How much do you think you're going to get? Are you one of Mr. Busby's clients? Yes. What did he tell you? Objection. Objection. No, this goes to the bias of the witness. It goes to the motivation behind it. How many times did you take your case to the police before? What exactly did you do? How were you harmed? What is it? And the case, after a while, when let's assume somebody sits up there and they look, kind of middle-aged, and the jury looks at them and it doesn't have the same feel as a child. It's just different. Well, what happened? What did he do? Well, he drugged me. How do you know he drugged you? How? Prove it. I can't prove it. Well, you said he did. Well, what was it? I don't know what it was. How do you know he did it? Could have somebody else have given you? And the case just starts to, that's just one witness. You got 120 more to go. One person you keep on the stand all week. Keep going. What did you do? Did you go to the hospital? Do you have any records of this? Did you tell anybody this? Can you corroborate this? What happened? You know, I'm not trying to side with anybody, but this case is tougher than you think. But it takes one case to be found guilty, and that's it. One person to convince that jury, that's it. That's good enough.
Does Lionel know anything about music industry owners owning private prisons?
No, not no, but there was the chance. There was talk about the prison industrial complex, where people would actually contract with the government, and the government would say, we will always make sure you have guests at your prison. That's why, and I am absolutely, positively, 100% against prisons, except for people who never should come out. Because once you go into prison, you're never the same. It serves absolutely no purpose. Probation and probationary types of sentences are far more effective for the most part. Drug cases should not even be against the law, as far as I'm concerned.
What's your views on Norway's take on the prison system and the possibility of San Quentin being turned into America's first trial of that sort of incarceration? If you don't know what I mean, I can elaborate.
Yeah, please do.
So in Norway, they've got thousands of little islands that surround the main coastline, and they put all of the people into little houses, and effectively you are trapped on a little island where a sniper will take you out if you try and leave the island. But you're living a normal life, and their rehabilitation rate is one of the lowest in the world, based off of the fact that the incarceration isn't a trauma, it's about rehabilitation as opposed to punishment. Do you think in a modern America, in fact, let me rephrase it, do you think modern America is ready for that transition?
No. There is no such thing as rehabilitation. Rehabilitation for what? That is the most ridiculous thing. The notion of the penitentiary from the Latin poena, means punishment. The idea that you're going to turn your life around. Now, there have been some cases, believe it or not, there are some, I think in Italy, their prisons, they actually teach some people how to be chefs and things like that. Well, that's okay. But listen, save it, have a trade school. You only put somebody into prison when you want him not to come out. Somebody who really hurts people.
But that's more of a personal view, right? Not an actual reality. Yeah.
Well, here is the thing. Most cases, most crimes make sense. You understand why they did it. Robbery, drugs.
Okay, yeah. You can boil it down. Yeah, I'm with you.
When you do something to children or women, for the matter, you forever turn in your membership card in the human race. You're gone.
I totally agree. There's no rules that apply.
No. And you can be there. But you bring up a good point, Rob. There was a place in Florida. It's at an Air Force base, and it was a federal prison, and there's no walls. There's a line, just a white line. And they say, if you go past that, we will shoot you. And there are snipers. They said it is the most horrifying things because freedom is right there and they can't go there. A wall
I'm with you.
It's easier to understand.
The invisible wall, I'm getting you.
Prisons are absolutely barbaric. Let me ask you two, gentlemen, why are there more female prisons? Why is prison? Why are these crimes a male thing?
Because men are willing to go down to take the penalty for their women because they're whipped. Ain't no women going down for a guy because they're whipped. All I'm saying is that. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Carry on. But it's a very good question.
Men are mentally ill and violent. By the way, somebody said, Moira says, why is a case about a child a civil case? It is not. In our country, I'm sure the same for you. There's two kinds of legal cases in this type of thing. There's the prosecution, where it's the government, the United States of America versus Shaun Diddy Combs. And that is to seek justice or incarceration or punishment. In the case of plaintiff one, Shaun Attwood versus Sean Diddy Combs. It's one person against another for money damages, for compensatory damages, for lost wages, for punitive damages or smart money, exemplary damages, damages to teach them a lesson, multiplied. That's what people, when you hurt yourself in a car accident, that's a civil case. But they normally are concomitant. Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say this lawyer, Busby, says, all right, I want to make a deal with you. I will give us $20 million and we won't pursue this civil case anymore. Okay. Can you promise me that they won't prosecute me? No. Then what do I want to pay you for? If I'm going to go to prison, screw you. I'm not going to give you a dime. You tell the prosecutor to stop the criminal case, and then maybe I'll do this. Why am I settling with somebody if I'm going to go to prison for the rest of my life? And what I've also wondered about is how is Sean Diddy even liquid? His properties, they're all mortgaged. The liens, the multiple liens, just the bankruptcy. If he files for bankruptcy, that stops everything. Then the victims may get 10 cents on the dollar, and you have priorities. Mortgages get paid first, attorney's fees, government fines, and then way down here, after we're done, then we'll get to you. How much do you? Oh, I have a $20 million judgment. Okay.
Yeah.
We have $3,000 left. You want to split that among yourself? So I don't even know where this is going.
Yeah. I just want to address something in the side chat. I'm not being funny, mate, but if you think I'm talking too much tonight, don't pretend like you're smart enough to keep up with Lionel. Okay, I'm trying my best to put a question together through a Tolkien description of an answer, and I think we're having a great night tonight. I just want to make sure everyone likes.
Oh, I'm loving this.
Oh, look, Lionel, I'm telling you now, you and I could be crazy Russian drinking brothers, all right, where we just sat at a table shouting facts at each other while we do shots, and neither of us feel like we get enough of an edge.
With Matthew Steeples, of course.
That was, may I didn't want to bring that up, but that was one of the funniest nights I have ever had in my life.
He wants you to come out here and get pissed with him, and pissed in the UK means drunk.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, if you're coming to the UK, Lionel, you're putting me on that list. You don't ever come here without calling me Lionel. We're going to have a madness.
You know what's funny? When I first, I have a lot of friends of mine who are Irish, and Irish, not just whatever. Okay. And my favorite, and I never knew, we always have this stuff on TV, this, hello, father, how are you? How about a potato? That kind of a Gary Fitzgerald, the corny.
So you're a white guy, they're white guys, you're allowed to do their accent. It's fine. Carry on.
Right. Well, my favorite, and I love this, I have a dear friend from Galway, and I never understood a word he said. Okay. And he would, and I learned about the piss thing, and first time I talked to him, he said, this one there, your man said it one there. Your one there, your man here said one, your man, and your one. And I said, wait, I don't know what you're saying. This one there, if he said, for example, Kennedy, this man, your man Kennedy, one there, that's one. I tell you what, is this one, Gratinola, husband? What's that?
The mad thing is there someone from Ireland watching right now that's going, I understood every freaking word of that. Okay, I'm just telling you now. Also, I'm from Scotland, right? I know you were.
I gathered that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're good.
And you're Billy Connolly, I hear it. I'm sorry, which is, I think, an honor. Well, the first time I saw him one time, I might have been a bit under the weather. He says, I think you're pissed. I said, I'm not pissed. I thought it was pissed off. Like, if you keep telling me that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not going to lie.
So a mind thing. I didn't understand you're a man and you're one and all that kind of stuff. And half three and jumpers and things like trainers and jumpers. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I learned very, very quickly. But going back to this, though, what I love is this thing about conversation. And Shaun is a genius. He's closing in on 1 million subscribers, and he doesn't say a goddamn thing. He puts people on, he talks. He sits back and he says, how much did I make? Holy, every month he gets those AdSense. Jesus.
Lionel, you can't hit me with a bit of socially acceptable racism and then fluff it up with some praise to Shaun. Okay, I just want to say now, there is literally roads in my city older than your country right now. Okay.
Oh, I believe it.
Streets, my G. Okay, I'm just busting your chops back. But yeah, I mean, Shaun's killing it right now. We're all killing it. But Lionel, you're amazing. You are amazing.
Steeples was the best. I had no idea. What I had, and Shaun didn't tell me. Listen, by the way, this guy is about a 0.25 blood alcohol right now. This guy doesn't know where the hell he is.
Yeah,
He didn't tell me anything.
yeah.
So anyway, all of a sudden it was the night of the. It was. He goes, well, I know this one. Yes, and I've been, and you're correct about that. But Mr. Diddy, I said, has this man had a stroke? Who is this? Shaun wouldn't put me on with some inebriate, some
Oh, yes, he would. Yes, he would, Lionel. Yes, he would.
And it was great. And it was all right, Staples. I think you should perhaps maybe get some coffee now. Come back. All right.
No. Listen, you need to learn how Attwood works. Next time you're on with Steeples and he gets really drunk, watch Attwood come alive and hit him with the hard questions when he's steaming, right? He'll say nothing for 2 hours and then he's like, okay, I think we've tuned in on the right level of gin. So tell me about this. You just watch it every time. There
is a moment when he gets so lit, he goes on these rants and the viewers just go wild.
Yeah.
I told people, Shaun, that you have an app where you can make people sound drunk, that it's kind of like AI. And I said, you're not going to believe this. I was on with this guy named Steeples, and Shaun made, I don't know what he did, but he put some AI, whatever, and made him sound gassed. He said, boy, that thing's good. I said, I know. I said,
nah. I mean, in fact, let's just go with that. Yeah, Shaun's got a magic inebriation button. It's what made him so famous in America years ago, if I'm being perfectly honest. And they just had to nip it in the bud. You know, it was a gift. But you know, Lionel, I swear to God, man, you're one of these people that is on my like fantasy dinner party list now. Just for banter.
Listen, as are you, sir. This is, this.
Don't fucking lie. Don't lie to me, Lionel. I'm not on nothing. You're going to forget my name even existed as soon as this live stream's over. Okay, let's be honest here. Your answers to questions are just beyond my comprehension. And I tell you something.
Not at all. This is, I put it this way. There's nobody on any radio show or anybody to talk about any of this stuff. I tried the other day to explain to people why I believe that AI is going to be the biggest threat to humanity there is.
I love it, man. I'm fully at one with the AI, but from a job point of view and from a creative point of view, I can see it.
AGI, artificial general intelligence, it's over. It's done. It's through. You will never be able to figure out what happened. Imagine all of a sudden right now in Israel or in Gaza, all of a sudden, all of the weapon systems are shut down. And somebody said, what was that? I don't know. Who did that? We don't know. An AGI model had its own sense of morality and decided to break through and shut this down. We didn't like what you're doing. Or let's say, Ron, you say, I want to be the best. I want to own the best fish and chips shop or whatever it is. Great. I'll help you.
I'll play
and
along.
Let's assume that some AGI little module says, we'll take care of that. And it basically has all of your competitors killed.
I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. At 12 o'clock on a Thursday night, I'm totally okay with that. I will sleep fine at night. The AI did it. They brought it on themselves competing, mate. I'm just saying. I'm not for a free market. I'm for Ron.
We are facing things that are going to affect the country, and we need critical thinkers who can be able to think beyond the immediate and who can think beyond the BBC and beyond Fox News.
Yeah.
And some really great, and nobody is, by the way, going back to the UFOs, you'll never hear anybody, not a Neil deGrasse Tyson or a Brian Greene or who's the fellow, Mr. Cox? Who's the fellow who talks like this? This is wonderful. He's a black hose. You know who he is, Cox, whatever the Brian Cox or whatever his name is. None of them will ever give any credence to UFOs or extraterrestrials. They are told, if you ever even so much as intimate that there's something to this, you will lose any and all entree into the world of this, because you can never let people know. Because the question is, who harnesses the power? Who knows how these people travel? What if I told you that I could take through some weird dimpling of time space, through some kind of weird anti-gravitic propulsion, I could change everything, making petroleum and oil unnecessary? What if I could take time space and distort it? What if I could show you different parallel universes? What if I could show you things that, and it's not going to be the government that wants this, private industry is going to want this. I'm telling you, this is the story of stories. And it is, you're laughed at if you even so much as intimate or suggest it. And they'll throw these limited hangouts at you. The TikTok or Tic-Tac little thing.
Yeah,
the
Tic-Tac. Yeah, Tic-Tac.
That's not it. Rendlesham Forest in the UK. Was it 1980? Talk about that. This was the Phoenix Lights. Talk to the governor of Arizona. The comedic report. Just go through this. It's there. There's so many people, but we don't talk about that. No, I have to see this gun turret, this Tic-Tac thing over and over again, because that is a limited hangout. That's all they're going to give me, and that's supposed to satisfy me. That's supposed to say, well, we've gotten to the bottom of that. No, we're not. I don't trust those people for a moment. They are an inside job. It's a limited hangout. They're put there to deliberately distract you away, to let you think, well, we finally let the cat out of the bag. Okay, everybody go home now. Now you're satisfied. No.
Right. Closing remarks, guys. It's November here in England. Halloween's over.
I don't know what's happening right now. I feel like I'm in a fever dream, right? And I'm addicted to listening to Lionel. It's like I know I shouldn't be. I shouldn't. Like I'm so educated and confused at the same time.
May I ask you a stupid question? Do you have what we call trick or treat? And do you
Lionel, see, all your culture, my culture invented your culture, and then we came over in a boat and just implemented it. So we call it guising. But yes, of course we do. I didn't mean to be so aggressive there.
No.
So aggressive.
Well, I live in New York City, where people who walk around with severed heads, we can't tell. Halloween looks like any other night of the week. It doesn't.
Yeah. I'm with you. But yeah, we do.
But when I was a kid, I went every year of my life as the devil. I've loved the devil.
Yeah.
I've loved The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, The Horns. I've always wanted to meet the devil. Never Jesus. I wanted to meet the devil.
Are you the guy? Like, oh my God! Do you remember that character, the lawyer that was in that movie with Keanu Reeves, The Devil's Advocate? Yeah, you're that guy. A little bit, not in the full extent of being Satan, but just a little, like a fun amount of Satan.
It's called The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw that and heard of the devil. And I've talked and I've read about it, and it was basically a creation, the whole pan, the horns, and the whole bit. And I always thought to myself, so anyway, so every year when we would dress up and go out, I don't know about you, but we would wear these outfits that we would buy in a drugstore with this plastic little thing where the eye holes didn't fit for a kid's head. So you would go out into the dark with this mask on in this chemically treated gown that if you got near an open flame, you'd go up like a torch. And we'd go up to complete strangers' houses, and they would give us candy. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. But nobody got hurt. But anyway, so that's tonight. And it's the most ridiculous thing. And people say it's satanic and Luciferian. I'm saying, so what's wrong with that? Let me ask you finally, last question. Do you believe there is a Satan? Shaun Attwood, yes or no?
So I believe that many different terms can be used to describe energy, and
oh my God,
Jesus,
things that are done that are evil are ascribed to Satan.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We have a new program here in England. Shaun Attwood will be explaining the sex act to teenagers, and teenage pregnancy will drop precipitously. Shaun will take something which is normally involving tumescence and gargantuan corpus cavernosa, and within 30 seconds will make it so boring they will never want to do it again. Thank you so much.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest.
I recently did ayahuasca, and I experienced some things. All my dead friends came and spoke to me.
Oh wow!
And I went into some realms where there was. Yeah, it was different.
Well, listen, I just want to answer you.
Would you recommend that to people, ayahuasca?
Yeah, because no, I wouldn't say that publicly.
Careful now. NordVPN might be watching. Sponsors are watching.
I would say personally, as a medicine done in a
clinical setting.
Do I need to save you from yourself here? Shaun Attwood does not endorse ayahuasca or any new age medicine at all. If you're a potential sponsor, that was a lapse of judgment. He's been conditioned by Lionel. Okay, that's an offline conversation. I'm saving you from yourself. Okay.
I believe there is something to that. I think that is going to be the trigger. That's going to be the portal to helping people with trauma and PTSD.
Correct.
And it will open up. It will be. There is a plug. Think of it as a bezoar. Think of it as as an intestinal plug between that which you see and either the spiritual or the subconscious realm, and it will be like basically opening up new colors, sounds, means of access, if done correctly. Or
I'll believe you if you explain what a bezoar is.
Bezoar is actually a clog. It actually was used, believe it or not, as an anti-venom type of device, but it's basically an intestinal plug, cat hair, something that plugs up the gut, something that causes a flatulence.
I just love Lionel so much. He's so
no, Ron, seriously. I've suffered from flatulence inflatus most of my life, and it's something that's
flatulence inflatus. Do you think I'm stupid that I'm going to believe that's a real thing, Lionel? Okay, I'm from Scotland where we bust on each other's chops and call each other mums fat and stuff. Like, I ain't buying into this. Okay, I respect you.
I have had this disease for the longest time, and I've never been able to scuba dive or be an astronaut.
What is happening? You're all hearing that, right? I'm not the only one hearing the farts, right? This is happening, right? What is happening?
That's the devil's breath at work right there.
Right. Un arro de diablo. Anyway, gentlemen, Shaun, Ron, thank you so much. I would rather be with you people than the finest people in the world. And I mean that sincerely.
I know. 100%. You're on my apocalypse village list, my guy. No dull moments, man. I'm telling you right now. I would if Lionel was just coming in here to talk at me for 9 hours straight, I'm confessing anything. I'm just saying, whatever you want to know, I'm going to tell you, Lionel. And I tell you what, that's testament to your loyal capabilities. And I would love to see you at work in the courtroom doing your thing. I would.
Lionel, have you read Beyond Good and Evil by Nietzsche?
No, I have not.
Have you read the back of a cereal box? Because that's about the only reading that I can give you, Lionel. That's where my IQ is.
I think there's good and bad in everyone, and we all have different capacities for coming out. There's good and bad in every political party. There's good and bad in every religion. There's good and bad in every philosophical belief. And it's up to us to focus on the good and incorporate that into our lives to keep the evil at bay.
Yes, I think so. But I don't think, to me, evil is somebody who enjoys victimization or harm. And I don't believe that's in everybody. I think we do sometimes things that are careless. I think sometimes we're negligent. But I don't believe that everybody is evil or has some evil component. We might do some things inadvertently. There are some people who enjoy sadism, and they enjoy seeing the look of horror and fear and destroying other people's happiness. That's sadism. But I think most people are basically kind of benign, and that's the sad part. But anyway, but Shaun and Ron, thank you so much. I am so honored to be with you. Happy November to you. Please invite me back if
Lionel, you're definitely coming back. I don't know what just happened. I feel like I've just been hypnotized for the last hour. And then he just closes the show. He just comes on, drops bombs, and then closes the show. What is happening? What is happening?
No, much love, Lionel. You're one of the most charismatic speakers we ever have on.
Well, listen, thank you.
Fantastic. We appreciate everything you've done, coming on and sharing your wisdom and experience with us. And the viewers and Ron and I, and Matthew Steeples, we can't wait to get you back.
Yes. Thank you. All the best, brothers. We'll see you soon. All the best.
Take it easy, brother. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.